I wanted to ask this week a question that I've seen, and actually a quote that I saw that said that your self-worth is equal to your net worth. And I wonder whether you believe that. Do you agree with that? Do you think that your self-worth and your net worth are equal? I used to think that. And I'm going to start with actually a personal story. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey because, and as I said, self-worth, self-love, this is the journey of a lifetime. If anybody tells you that I'm good, I got it, I feel worthy, I feel self-love, unicorns and rainbows, they're lying, because I truly believe that this is a journey that all of us go on, and at different stages we're struggling with different things. At different stages we accept certain things or we recognize certain things. But I feel like this is the journey of a lifetime. The love affair with yourself is the journey of a lifetime. And so my story was that I grew up poor. So I'm a girl from Zimbabwe, and I literally, when I grew up, when I was being raised, I was raised in a mud hut with no running water, no electricity. And I used to think that my self-worth, I would feel good about myself, I would love myself when I had stuff, because I grew up with no stuff. And when I started going to school, there were all the kids who had the things, the pencil crayons and the backpacks that I couldn't have because we didn't have money. And I thought that if I could just have the stuff, I would feel good about myself. And so my whole life was spent on this quest of if I could just get enough education. So I went to school. If I could just get enough money. So when I went into corporate, when I started working, it was like, if I could just make 30,000, if I could just make 50,000, 100,000, then I would feel good about myself. Then I would feel worthy. Reached all those milestones, checked all those boxes, didn't happen for me. And then I thought, no. The reason is because I'm doing it all wrong. It's because I'm employed. If I could just create my own company, start my own company and make my own money, then you know what? I will feel worthy. I will feel good about myself. So I started my own business, and I thought, if I could just make 6 figures, then I'll feel good about myself. Check that box. Still didn't feel good about myself. If I could just make my first million, oh yes, then I'll feel good about myself. Got to that milestone, checked it off, still didn't feel good about myself, still didn't love myself. And I was chasing the stuff and working harder and harder. I thought, no, if I could just make my first 8 figures, that's the magic number. Then I'll feel good about myself. Then I'll love myself. And the year that I made my first 8 figures in revenue in my company is the year my life imploded. It was the year that literally the wheels came off the bus, because I think that was the threshold that made me realize that no matter how much I kept chasing, I would never feel worthy. And in fact, what was happening is because I didn't feel worthy, I was, without sometimes even realizing it, sabotaging myself. Because when you don't feel worthy of having something, when it's handed to you, then you're kind of like, at any moment, they're going to realize that I don't really belong, or that this thing shouldn't be mine. And so you do things that undermine yourself, that self-sabotage yourself. And it was really then, in everything imploding, that I had to come to the realization that my self-worth did not come from stuff. It didn't matter that I drove my dream car, didn't matter that I lived in my dream house, didn't matter how much money I had in the bank, didn't matter how many pairs of shoes I had or handbags. My self-worth could never come from outside of me, that it had to be an inside job, that I had to love me enough to value me, regardless of what the external said. Now, that's not to say it's not great to drive your dream car, live in your dream house, all of those things. But they're not the things. If you're chasing that and thinking that's when you'll feel good enough, that's when you'll feel worthy, you'll never get there. You're chasing an endless dream, and you're going to be disappointed. And so your self-worth does not come from your net worth. Your self-worth is an inside job. It is about how you feel about you. It is about how you feel when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror at yourself, and it is just you. No makeup, no trappings, no things, no money, just you. Do you love you? Do you love what you see? And so I really want you to understand that the things aren't what brings you the joy. The things aren't the thing, isn't what's going to make you love yourself. It has to start from the inside. But what is true when it comes to self-worth and finances, self-worth and money, self-worth and your net worth is this. Your net worth reflects your self-worth. Pause on that for a second, because there is a difference. So your net worth, your self-worth does not come from your net worth. Your self-worth does not come from your net worth, but your net worth reflects your self-worth. What do I mean by that? You see, when you love yourself, when you value yourself, then you will take care of yourself. You will understand your inherent value and the fact that you deserve certain things. For example, when you go for a job interview and it's a job that you want and they say to you, we love you, we think you're great, we'd like to offer you $30,000 a year to do this job. But you know your value, you know what you're going to bring to that job. Then that's the point where your self-worth needs to kick in, and the value that you know you can bring. You need to value you and what you know you can bring to that position or to that whatever job or that contract. You have to value your self-worth and the value that you bring. And so you need to value yourself, and that reflects in what you're willing to accept. And that is what then decides what you feel you can charge for whatever it is that you're doing. A funny story. So early on, when I bought my very first dream car, I went to the dealership and looking at the car, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going to buy this car. And then I asked the guy at the dealership, I said, because I guess I was trying to look like I was smart and I knew what I was talking about. And I said, how many miles per gallon does this car go? And he kind of paused and he looked at me and he said, the kind of person who buys this car isn't concerned about miles per gallon. So what he was saying to me there was, you know what, if you're still talking baby talk about small things like that, then you're not someone who's at the level to be able to value what it is that you're getting in this car. And that was like woo. And for something else that I'd love to share is I recently bought a gift for somebody and they wanted a particular handbag, a luxury handbag. Went to the store to look at it. And I had this moment where they brought out the bag and there's the whole fanfare. And they told me the price of the bag. And I looked at the bag and I thought, that bag is no different in terms of features, functions, all of it, than a bag that I could get at Target, for example. It'll do exactly the same thing, carry her stuff in this bag and yada, yada. But they have decided, this brand has decided that the value they're going to put on their brand, is high. And so that bag, they will charge, and they're not going to negotiate. I can't go into, the Louis Vuitton store, or I can't go into a Bentley dealership and say, hey, I have $20,000. Can I have a Bentley? They'll be like, ma'am, you need to go somewhere else. And so that's it. Value is about what you perceive yourself to be worth. It's got nothing to do with other people, and it's what you're willing to accept. And so, as I said, your self-worth does not dictate your net worth. Sorry, your self-worth does not come from your net worth. Your self-worth does not come from your net worth, but your net worth is reflected in your self-worth. What do you feel the value that you bring? How do you value yourself? And that's a really important distinction to make, an important distinction that often we don't make, is that your value is what you decide you are worth. It's not what anybody else tells you. And it's up to the person who's asking you to do the thing to say, are you worth it or are you not? But important for you to understand is that if you think that your self-worth is going to come from the stuff, then you are mistaken. Your self-worth does not come from outside of you. Your self-worth comes from inside of you. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, is really allow you to reflect and to think about the fact that self-worth does not come from net worth, but your net worth is reflected in your self-worth. What you have, what you don't have in terms of your finances is a reflection of the value that you put on yourself. As I leave you, as you go into this new week, I want you to remember, always remember, that you are worthy to be, to do, to have anything that your heart desires. Thanks so much for joining me.